All right, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Gene Wong, Dean of the School of Arts and Sciences, and welcome to our academic presentation. This particular session is going to focus on STEM majors. And so these majors include applied mathematics, bioengineering, um, biology, biotechnology, computer science, engineering, and environmental science. And what I'm going to do is just go over some of the different facilities and things that we have within our program. You'll hear from some of our faculty and students. And then at the end of the session, we'll be able to answer any questions. So if you have some specific questions, you can type them in the chat function, and we'll be reviewing those, and we'll repeat the questions and answer as many as we can in the time we have. So again, this talks about the STEM facilities that we have, and most of the majors are going to be housed in the new, actually, Ginger Judge Science Center plus its expansion. So the Ginger Judge Science Center is this picture over here. First floor has a couple of classrooms, computer science area. We have labs on the second and third floors, and the third floor also includes an incubator suite or research area for faculty and students. And this was opened about 2013. And then in May, we opened the expansion to the Ginger Judge Science Center. So it's just off to the side here, where it's engineering faculty on the second floor. We again have another STEM incubator space for research. And the fourth floor is devoted to engineering itself. And the other pictures here illustrate some of the different facilities and labs we have in the Science Center. So this is a typical laboratory space. This is actually biology and microbiology. This is chemistry, biochemistry over in this corner. And then we have a tissue culture facility. So we have the hoods on one side, the incubators on the other. There's a microscopy suite in here as well. And this is our DNA sequencing center. And one of the DNA sequencers is located here, along with a PCR machine. So the facility itself is very well equipped. Got a lot of equipment in there, including 2 DNA sequencing instruments. This one here, for example, can sequence a human genome in about a couple of days. Gel electrophoresis documentation stations, so you can take digital images and quantitate different bands for data, and a lot of our students use that in both teaching laboratories and in senior thesis. We have a virtual dissection table. It's essentially a giant iPad. So there are 3 scanned cadavers, and what you can do is you can rotate them, zoom in, zoom out. You can look at specific systems like the musculoskeletal system, just look at the circulatory system. It's labeled, so you hit a button, it can be labeled, you can quiz yourself on it. And this is in our anatomy and physiology lab, and it's open to all students for studying. I have a number of research grade microscopes in the facility. There are 2 in the microscopy suite and 2 in other laboratories as well. And these retail for about, our top end one is $90,000. So we have 4 of these dispersed through labs for student use. Bioengineering engineering has mechanical strength testers. So we have one in the physical sciences robotics lab, another one that's utilized by bioengineering and looking at the strength of scaffolding materials for cell and tissue culture. Our first-year engineering students in the Engineering 100 class actually use this little guy. He's a now humanoid robot. They learn some basic programming on it, and it can be used for advanced things. Some of our computer science majors have also utilized it in their senior thesis course. For example, one had programmed it to play Connect 4, for example. Okay. And then we have Makerspace, which have a couple of 3D printers associated with it, electronics components, so you can do Arduino, learn soldering, and we're going to continue expanding that in the next couple of years. So we have a lot of good facilities and good instrumentation in the STEM programs. So I'm just going to briefly talk about the 2 majors here in STEM, biology, biotechnology, and environmental science. All of our students do internships, and Dr. Duggan would talk a little bit more about that when he talks about computer science, engineering, and mathematics. These 2 particular majors have a secondary education component associated with it, which means if you're interested in teaching middle school or high school, grades 5 through K, we have that program. Also, we work with the School of Education on this, and if you're interested in going for teacher licensure, we also have a Masters of Education program as well that we work with the School of Education. So after completing your secondary ed, you get initial teacher licensure, and then the professional licensure track requires a master's degree, which you can also get at Endicott. Finally, if you're interested in pre-medical or pre-health professions, medical school, vet school, dentistry, physician assistant, even nursing, We have a pre-medical, pre-health professions program. You can be any major you want. And what happens is you have an advisor for that particular major, but you may also have an advisor for the pre-medical, pre-health professions program. We also have what's called a Canvas site, which is our learning management system. If you're in high school, you might have used Moodle, for example, same thing. A lot of resources there, including the entry requirements to a number of different programs, actually the prerequisites, data on their entering class in terms of overall GPA, the examinations you have to take, etc. So what I'm going to do now is just turn it over to some of our faculty and students. And first up is Dr. Gordon Ober, who's an assistant professor of environmental science. Dr. Ober?
Hey, everybody. My name is Gordon Ober. Thanks for the introduction, Gene. So I am an assistant professor at Endicott in the environmental science department. I'm relatively new to Endicott. I've been here a little bit over a year now. My background has always been in marine biology and marine ecology. So obviously if you've been to campus before, you know how close we are to the water. We have this incredible resource nearby us that I don't think any other college really has access to. I was drawn to working at Endicott in part because of the location and the fact that I have study sites, field sites that are accessible within a very short walk. I have long studied kind of how climate change impacts marine communities and marine organisms, having spent time working in both New England and out on the West Coast. I have started to build a research lab space. So while Dr. Wong walked through all the fancy equipment they have for some of the other biotech and engineering labs, my lab space is new enough where we don't have any photos up there yet. So sorry about that. But we have 2 recirculating seawater tanks. So any organisms that we want to go out and collect from their natural habitats, we can bring back, keep them in water, keep them alive. We can manipulate environmental parameters like temperature, nutrient levels, things like that. So I have students working, on some thesis projects and projects in the future that will involve looking at how organisms perform, across a range of temperatures, looking at adaptation potential of organisms to climate change. We're also lucky enough to be surrounded by a lot of other good field sites in the North Shore. So I have some students who have been working for the past 9 months or so on doing some coastal surveys of seaweed populations, looking specifically for, changes in community assemblages and also the presence of invasive species. At Endicott, I've been teaching kind of a variety of our environmental science courses, including kind of the first class that any environmental science student would take, where we really spend most of our classes outside, exploring the ecosystems on campus, learning about the common species, learning how to, test and run experiments in the environmental science field. So we're lucky to have the resources that we do and the access to a lot of great field sites. Upper level classes I teach include conservation and plant biology. I also teach biostatistics. So any wide variety of ecology, marine, and environmental science classes you would see me for.
Okay. All right. Thanks. And next, we're going to have Dr. Jessica Kaufman, who teaches in our biotechnology and bioengineering and engineering programs.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for that introduction, Gene. It is true. I teach in all 3 of those majors. So at the end of this conversation, if you want to ask me any questions about the biology/biotechnology major, the bioengineering major, or the engineering major, I'm happy to answer any of those questions. I've been really impressed during this crisis of just how many of our students and our former students are working in these areas to face the emergency that we're in right now. We have a couple of graduates who are working on different vaccines, who are working on some of the different technologies to get equipment into people's hands quickly. And just at the beginning of this phone call, I was mentioning that our lab manager has been using our facility, our makerspace, to try to put together masks and shields using 3D printing. So it's a very exciting time to be in these fields of biotechnology and bioengineering. I've been at Endicott for 12 years, and I've seen the programs grow considerably in my time here. We started out with just the biology and biotechnology major. It takes advantage of the fact that the North Shore of Massachusetts is a hub of innovation. And one thing I'm really proud of is our STEM majors leave Endicott with sort of this unique set of skills. They really have a lot of professional experience because, as you saw from the facility slides, we give them access to a lot of cutting edge technologies. For example, in the genes and genomes class, every single student resequences a bacterial genome, but they also have the background in the liberal arts. So our STEM majors leave Endicott being able to have a deep professional experience in science from their laboratory classes and their internships, but also have the ability to communicate. They're able to be good writers, good presenters, and really make the case for the technologies that they want to invest in at the companies that they join after graduation. So I really have had a fun time working at Endicott. I'm very excited because I think there's always new opportunities. When Dr. Ober joined Endicott College, one of the things that I started to do was to look in our nearby campus tidal pools and actually look for organisms that we can easily find, specifically the northern acorn barnacle. So I've been working with a couple of students this semester to sequence that organism. It has a draft genome on NCBI on the GenBank, but it's not in good shape. And so it's been really fun to try to improve that genome by doing more sequencing.
Great. Okay, next we're going to hear from three of our students, and our first one is Melissa Drexler, who's an environmental science major. Melissa?
Hi, everyone. Like you said, my name is Melissa Drexler. I'm a sophomore currently at Endicott, an environmental science major. So I'm just going to talk today briefly about why I chose Endicott, as well as some of my experiences with internships here. So there's three main reasons why I chose to come to Endicott. The first being the location. Being an environmental major, it's perfect to be at Endicott. We have both the ocean as well as the woods. For many of my classes, including oceanography or environmental biology and field studies, we've gone outside, which has been really great for learning opportunities. In addition, the second reason I came to Endicott was due to its class sizes. So most classes are around 20 students. Mine are currently about 15 students in each class, which builds really great personal relationships with all of your professors. I find it a lot easier to get one-on-one time and get help if you have any questions about projects. I've also been able to work with Professor Ober. I've been doing a lot of the seaweed analysis up in the North Shore, working there. So it's been really, really fun. And I really like having that relationship that I can talk to all of my professors and they all know me personally. And of course, the last reason that I chose to come to Endicott was due to the internships. I really like the idea that you can experience the internship before you decide full time if you want to do this for your entire employment. It sounds intimidating to have to find all of your internships, but we have a really great program where you take classes and you work with a professor and advisor who's specifically there to help you. They help you with your resume, they help you apply. They can even, before my first internship, I did a test interview with the internship department. So a little bit about my internships that I did. The first internship I did was at the New England Coastal Wildlife Alliance. This was the summer of my freshman year. I got to work with marsh turtles, which is really, really cool, tagging and collecting data on them. I also worked a lot in public presentations, so it was a new experience, being able to present ideas like talking about recycling in the community and getting community involvement. The second internship I did was in my winter of my sophomore year, so recently. I worked at the New England Aquarium in Boston, so I'm sure many of you are familiar, have visited there before. This experience was a little bit different because I worked more in education. So this was interacting with visitors, talking at touch tanks. It was a really fun experience. So both of my internships I actually found through the Endicott database. So previous students have worked there. And I find this database really helpful because you can enter your zip code and that can show you internship sites around your area, considering there's not always places that you might know about. And I really enjoyed both my internships. They've confirmed that what I want to do in my major, I want to stay with environmental science. I really enjoy working with wildlife animals, even though sometimes working with turtles, they do try and bite you. But I did really enjoy both my internships. I'm very glad I came to Endicott. I think it's a great community. The location's great. We're even close to Boston. So that's pretty much all about me. If you have any questions about my internships or even student life at Endicott, feel free to add into the chat and we'll answer the questions at the end. Thank you.
Where are you going this summer, Melissa?
So I'm trying to go to Turks and Caicos through the School for Field Studies. Right now the program is still on, but we'll see if it stays.
All right. Thanks, Melissa. Next is Peyton Atkins, who's a biology biotechnology major.
Hi, everyone. My name is Peyton. I'm a senior at Endicott, and I am a biology and biotechnology major. I chose Endicott, similar to Melissa, for the small class sizes and the excellent science program. I really got to know all my classmates in my major, and I got to really know all my professors as well, and they're all available for, they have office hours that they're all available to meet for. And since the class sizes are so small, they know all the students pretty much from the first week of classes. I also chose it for the internship program. And as a senior, I have completed 3 internships. My freshman year internship, I completed at an animal hospital in New York, where I really got to learn about, I'm a pre-veterinary major, so I really got to learn about animal hospitals in addition to the one that I had already worked at. I completed my sophomore year internship at Pine Bush Equine, which is an equestrian animal hospital that works with horses, specifically ones that work on the track. So they do harness racing, which was really cool because I want to go into equine medicine. And then I completed my senior internship in the fall at Windrush Farm, which is a therapeutic horseback riding farm. And we worked with people, both children and adults with disabilities, and we taught them how to horseback ride and worked with physical therapists and occupational therapists to rehab these people in a different way than they are normally used to. I also chose Endicott because I was recruited to play on the softball team, so I have been playing on the softball team since my freshman year. I've loved my experience at Endicott. I really like that you can walk around the campus, and every time I take my 3-minute walk to class, I'm always seeing somebody that I know, which I find super comforting because I like the small campus feel. And then in the fall, I was accepted into Cornell University, so I will be attending Cornell to obtain my doctorate in veterinary medicine.
Great. Thanks, Peyton. And finally, we have Giana Nekitopoulos, who's a double major in applied math and computer science.
Hi, everyone. I'm Giana Nekitopoulos. I'm a sophomore at Endicott, and I'm going to talk about why I chose this school and some of my experiences here. I came to Endicott for a couple reasons. First, for the connections and professional experience that the internship program offers. I was also interested in the athletics program. I'm a member of the track and field team. And I was interested in the personalized experience that you can get in a smaller class size. So when I entered Endicott as a freshman, I was an engineering major, but I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. After the first semester, I discovered that I was interested in computer programming. So with support from my advisor, I switched to be a computer science major. Since I also enjoy math and have an interest in that, I've recently decided to add applied mathematics as a major. I've also joined many clubs, and like I said, I'm a member of the track team, and I found it easy to get involved and find other students who share your interests. So far, I've only completed 1 internship. It was my freshman internship at a small trucking business in my hometown, AC Motor Express. There, I assisted in setting up internet connections and a security system for them in a new part of their office. While I'm still searching for my second internship, I've had a lot of help from my internship coordinator, and hopefully I'll be completing it this summer.
Great. So as you can see too, many of our students are student athletes. So being a science major doesn't preclude you from athletics. A lot of our successful students are in both athletics and their major programs. So next, I'd like to introduce Jack Duggan, who's chair of engineering, computer science, and mathematics, and is also professor of engineering. So he's going to talk about 3 other programs in STEM. Jack?
Thank you, Gene. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jack Duggan, and as Gene mentioned, I am a professor and chair here at Endicott. I'm also a registered professional environmental engineer, and my background is in the assessment and cleanup of hazardous waste sites. So these are the 4 Bachelor of Science degree programs I'll spend a little bit of time to talk about: applied mathematics, bioengineering, computer science, and our general engineering program. So for our engineering program, we have 2 degrees. One is in bioengineering, and as Professor Kaufman mentioned, our bioengineering program prepares engineers for careers in life sciences, medical, other health and biology related professions. Our engineering program is a general engineering program, but we have quite a number of electives that allow students to specialize in particular areas. Our faculty are multidisciplinary in the engineering program, so you'll get a good exposure to many of the different disciplines in engineering. And if you're particularly interested in moving on to a master's degree, we have a 4+1 program with UMass Lowell that will allow you to get a master's degree in an area of a specialty 1 year after graduation from Endicott. Our computer science program has a curriculum that's very strong in programming, networking, and computer science technology, and that will prepare you well for the numerous jobs in the different fields where computer scientists are needed. And keep in mind, as you're moving through the curriculum, we have electives in robotics, big data, security, and gaming. So if you're interested in those particular fields, there are ways to specialize in computer science as well. In mathematics, we have concentrations in actuarial science and secondary education, but also keep in mind the skill set that you will acquire as an applied math major will permit you to be very well sought after in a number of different emerging fields in the world of STEM. As Professor Kaufman mentioned, and you can see from some of the student examples, what's common to all of our STEM majors is they are communicators, they are career ready, they are team players, and that's not just based on the curriculum, but it's just the campus here at Endicott in the general community that will prepare you to become a very well-rounded person ready for the careers that wait for you. Professor Kaufman and Professor Ober are a couple of our outstanding faculty. Bear in mind, we have just fantastic faculty and staff that are leaders not only in their specific disciplines, but they're leaders in the community as well. And as Professor Kaufman mentioned, we have a couple of people in the STEM program, Christine Harvey Cronin and Jessica Kaufman, Jessica Ventura, that are just pumping out these face masks and shields with our 3D printers in our makerspace. And that's the kind of faculty and staff you get here at Endicott, people that do these things not only for their profession, but for the community. So as you've heard already from some of our student stories, you're really going to be immersed in internships and prepare for your career right out of the gate. You'll get to know Cher Harrington and our other intern coordinators in your freshman year. There are a couple of logos here, North Shore Interventures and North Shore Technology Council. And those are organizations that represent dozens of really top-notch who's who in employers on the North Shore. And just to give you a little side note, when I asked North Shore Interventures if we could use their logo, they said yes. And don't forget to tell people that between North Shore Interventures and our member companies, we've recently hired 40 Endicott interns. So other things that will help distinguish you with your Endicott degree will be research projects, which you've heard some stories from some of the students about, and your senior thesis. These will become part of your portfolio that will distinguish you above and beyond just the degree that you'll get here at Endicott, but they'll distinguish you for that next great job. So in addition to research and senior thesis, whether it's athletics, theater, a dance club, or something else. Take advantage of these resources that you have here at Endicott, because these things will set you apart from the competition as you go out into the workplace. So just to wrap up, this applies to all STEM majors, but really it could apply to any Endicott student. You've heard from some of our students here just in this short period of time, and they have great stories. And we'd like you to become STEM majors here so that you can become a great student and have your own great story. You're going to be career ready. You're going to seek and receive mentorship from outstanding individuals, from faculty and staff. You're going to acquire a sense of curiosity, creativity, and become a communicator. And most of all, you're going to be a problem solver. And that's what industry, that's what employers, that's what the community needs. And that's why we'd like you to be a STEM major here at Endicott. Thank you.
All right, so that's the end of our formal presentation. And here's email addresses for myself and Dr. Duggan if you want to ask us questions, if you want to ask the faculty questions as well via email. We can also forward those along to the individual faculty members. So what you do is just stop screen sharing and then see if there are any questions that anybody has. I'm looking at the chat and I don't see anything. All right. Well, if you think of something later, let me know or let Dr. Duggan know. But thank you for taking your time to see us. And I hope you have a good week and stay healthy and stay safe.
It looks like there is one question about how large is a computer science class? Giana, do you think you can answer that?
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, so it depends on the class. If it's more of like a core major class rather than an elective, they're kind of small, depending on your class size. So right now there's only 8 people in the sophomore class. So a lot of my classes have 8 people, but some of the electives can have up to like 15, depending on what type of class you're taking.
And then Dr. Ober, would you like to answer, what classes do freshman environmental science majors take?
Sure, happy to answer that. So we're revamping the classes slightly, but every freshman that comes into the EMV program, they'll take an ecology and field studies class in the fall. So learning a lot about our local habitats, ecosystems, and species. And then in the spring semester, taking an environmental science class. So that's more focused on the energy side of things and sustainability side of things. So that's the course for a freshman coming in for next year.
All right, there's another question. How easy is it to do a dual major? We'll let Giana talk first about hers to tell us how easy that one is, and then I can talk more in general.
For me, it was particularly easy. I came in with a lot of AP credits, and you only have to take 15 credits a semester, but there was a couple where I took 18, so that definitely helped. But Dean Wong has been very helpful in planning it out for me, so that makes it easy.
Yeah, so all dual majors are advised by the dean of the schools which have the majors. So the rule is that both degrees must be the same. So both degrees must be Bachelor of Science or both degrees must be Bachelor of Arts. So that kind of limits what you can do. Depending on the major, if you're an engineering major and you want to double major in something, it's going to be rough because engineering has close to 130 or maybe above that now for graduation, and you must meet the degree requirements for both. So a lot of it depends on what the 2 different majors are. And if you're interested, the deans create the advising sheet. So our students have access to an advising sheet laying out what they have to take each semester. And in some cases, there might be ones where you have to do summer courses as well, just to keep up with the material. Okay. I'm going up here. Somebody wanted to know about the actuarial science concentration. John, do you want to take care of that one?
Sure. So actuarial science is kind of a niche profession. It's a very highly sought after in the insurance and business sectors. So people need to know what premiums are going to be for insurance. So There's a lot of data analytics involved, so you need to be familiar with managing data, and also familiar with systems, statistics, computer programs that industry uses. And if you are to become an actuarial, you need to pass a lot of exams. But as you pass these exams, you become more and more valuable to the company, and your salary just goes up and up. So it's a very lucrative profession. It's a very important profession. And for people that have a knack for numbers and math, statistics, it's perfect fit.
All right. And also realize that in terms of in actuarial science, we actually have courses that prepare you for 2 of the exams directly. All right. So keep that in mind. And then there's a question about internships and just examples of internships for computer science, mathematics, biology, biotechnology. So Jess, you want to talk about
I taught the internship section last semester for computer science. Sorry if my audio is a little weird. Section for computer science and for applied math last semester. And so I actually have a little spreadsheet that has all of their internships. Students worked at Electro Insurance Company, at Gordon Seafood, at AMK System Solution doing IT support. And then students also worked at companies like Symbotic Robotics that makes a lot of the robots that are in warehouses. MIT Lincoln Labs, so CJ Mastone had an internship at MIT Lincoln Labs doing cybersecurity. At Revolution, which is a solar panel company. So the computer science internships were really varied. The applied math majors worked at John Hancock and Milliman, which are really top tier actuarial internship sites. So we've been able to get students at really great companies.
And how about biotech?
Biotech, we have students working at all different types of jobs. Some students who are pre-health choose positions where they actually get a health certification prior to the internship so they can really do patient care. Some good examples of this are either becoming an EMT or a CNA, a certified nursing assistant. Then we also have students that are interested in more of the pharmaceutical side of the industry. So we had a student who worked at Charles River Laboratory doing animal research. We have a student work at Genomes to People, which is responsible for the BabySeq project and the MilSeq project. These are efforts to sequence healthy babies and babies that are at Children's Hospital in Boston, and do a comparison to see if it's worth it to get sequencing at birth. That's the BabySeq project. And then the MilSeq project seeks to sequence large members of the military.
Okay. And then there was a question also about how big is the biotech major. So typically we have maybe close to 25 students to 30 students enter as freshmen, but generally after that, students decide whether they want to stay in the major or not, but typically we have about 20 to 25 students a year in biotech. So that's from the freshman class all the way up to the senior class. That's about the average number of biotech students. And then there are questions about the secondary ed program. So biotech, environmental science, and mathematics have secondary education components associated with it. Essentially, you take the same core courses as the majors, but then in order to meet Massachusetts state licensing requirements, you have an education component as well. So you take a lot of courses through the School of Education, and what that does is it takes up pretty much all of your free electives and your general education electives to complete those requirements. So, and in certain areas like in biotech, you have almost no biology electives. They're dictated in order to meet state requirements. So for example, you must take anatomy and physiology 1 and 2 in the biology biotech sequence, right? So the secondary eds are structured so that you also, as your internships, are in schools. So you have to do a middle school, you have to do a high school, and then in your senior internship, you pick one of them to do your student teaching for the semester. So your internship is your student teaching. And then you are also registered for courses to pass the different MTEL licensure exams. Okay, so hopefully that answered that question. All right, I think.
Hi all, I don't mean to interrupt.
Yep.
I think you have time for just about one more question or so.
Actually, that was the last question.
Oh, wait. Perfect.
General engineering concentration in computer science. Last question. Jack, you want to answer that one? Jack?
Yes, I'll unmute.
Oh.
Yes, so in general engineering, we have 5 engineering electives that students will be taking as part of their curriculum. And a number of those are in computer science if students choose to take that path. So matching engineering with computer science is a very very effective way to find a really good job and a good career, because all of our engineering systems today require people that can write code, people that are familiar with software. So it's a pretty good match, computer science with engineering. So if you're interested, I can send you the course description for the curriculum description for engineering, and you can see what computer science electives are at the that students can take in the engineering program.
Okay, so that concludes this session. If you have more questions, feel free to email us. We're more than happy to answer them. As I said, want to ask a student question, I can redirect your questions to the students or the faculty as well. All right, so good luck, and we hope to see you in fall. Okay, bye everyone.